Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bon Voyage Besties with your hosts, Rosa and Rachel. Our podcast is all about empowering women to explore the world with confidence. But let's be real, traveling, especially solo, can sometimes feel overwhelming or even intimidating. So today we're super excited to welcome Vanessa Karel, founder of Greether. Vanessa is a serial entrepreneur on a mission to make travel safer and more accessible for women everywhere. Through Greeter, she connects female travelers with verified local women guides in more than 100 countries, creating meaningful cultural experiences rooted in trust, safety, and community. Recognized as one of the most influential women in travel, her work also supports global initiatives focused on women's safety and economic empowerment. Vanessa shares how women are transforming the travel landscape by prioritizing safety, building global communities, and driving real economic impact for women in tourism around the world. So, welcome, Vanessa, to the show. We're so excited to have you.
Oh my God, thank you for that kind intro. Really appreciate the invitation and so great to meet both of you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, we're super happy to have you here because this is one of our favorite topics to talk about on our podcast. It's just that empowering women to get out there, to travel with confidence, but also to also feel safe when they're traveling, especially to a new destination. But before we get started and learn everything about Greeter, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself and how you got into the travel space?
Yes. Well, I have been traveling solo since very young. I left home really early for being in a Mexican household. No, when you're Latina, you don't usually leave home until you get married, which is incredibly wrong, in my opinion. So, since very young, I was very much a rebel and like I wanted to explore and be like a wild child, and so I left home around 17 and I thought I was old enough. I was just a kid, obviously. But I started traveling solo really early, and the places where I felt comfortable going to, like, tended to be, like, really safe, right? Like, my first international, solo trip was to Iceland, and Iceland is one of the safest countries in the world, if not the safest. But I still wanted to go to other places. I wanted to go to Egypt. I wanted to go, like, to Colombia and, like, places where, like, they're labeled as unsafe for women. And I was just like, I hate this, I don't think that this should be the way. You don't have to be waiting for Prince Charming or your friends to come with you to be able to navigate destinations. But it wasn't until 2020 when the pandemic hit. And in my previous company, I had a work assignment in Morocco, and I ended up going to Morocco during the pandemic, when everything like travel related was completely on lockdown, and like uh it was just very hard to navigate travel in that moment. And I got stranded at an airport in a city where I wasn't supposed to be landing in. Instead of being arriving in Marrakesh with like everything arranged for someone to meet me and greet me at the airport and take me to the Riyadh, because I just knew like people get tend to get lost when you arrive to Morocco. I ended up being in Casablanca at midnight and with no accommodations, nobody to reach out to. I didn't know anybody there. So like all I kept doing was like looking through my phone to see if I knew someone who knew someone there, or like if any of my friends had a contact in Casablanca, because I just wanted to feel more comfortable. Like, is it okay for me to take taxi? Like, will they take me to where I'm supposed to go? And the long story is that I ended up being in a really scary situation throughout this. And maybe I even like invoked it, in a way, because like I was so nervous. I was in a really hard position in a taxi ride in Casablanca. I didn't know what was gonna happen at that point, and another man jumped in the cab, and I had no idea what was going on. And I kept following on my phone like the route where I was supposed to be headed to, and they weren't going that way, So I was like, it was one of those moments where you're like, "Oh, this is what your mom tells you not to do," and I did it. And like the only person online that I had to text in that moment was in Germany that was awake. And even if something had happened and I had been able to tell them about it, um, what would they have done? Like they're so far away. Thankfully, nothing happened to me, and I was really lucky that nothing that happened to me. But I know that unfortunately, things like this have happened to other women, and I know what happened to the women who went to Marrakesh, to Morocco in, I think it was 2017, the Atlas Mountains. And I knew that, so it wasn't like about me being reckless. Anyways, the long story short is that it was one of those moments that like started the idea in me. And I was like, it would have been so much better if I had someone here to text and like maybe it was a cultural misunderstanding. I couldn't figure out what was going on. But then I started traveling throughout the whole country and then I kept getting harassed and followed. And I got followed by a group of men in Fez. And I was just fed up. Like I was just exhausted. I was like, why does it have to be this hard? Like, and I know I'm not alone. And so I started doing a lot of research upon returning to San Francisco. And I was writing a book. The book became Greether. But because through that research I was doing by writing that book, I realized a lot other women resonate with what happened to me and want a solution for this. So that's the long story of like how everything came about and I decided to give it a go and like I had an idea and it was just literally an idea on a piece of paper and like now it's a reality.
Yeah, that is intense. Oh my goodness. And what a moment to make you realize that this platform was needed. Like I've traveled solo a lot and I've had some moments that were a little scary. Nothing like you went through, Vanessa, but definitely moments where it could have gone either way that were uncomfortable. And I would think it would be just so much easier if I had a friend to reach out to because even though I firmly believe like you should get out there and travel and see the world, women they want to feel safe and just knowing that you have someone to talk to in another country really goes a long way. So, as we've said, safety, one of the biggest concerns for women travelers. So, how does Greether address these common safety fears in a tangible way?
Yeah. So upon doing my research, I realized that the kind of the one number stressing factor for most women is like when you land to the place. Is like, where do I go? You're at the airport, like you have no idea sometimes how to navigate public transportation. You haven't like really situated yourself. You're also more vulnerable because like you're an easy target, you're like easy to spot, you look like out of place, you have no idea where to go, and maybe you don't even speak the language. So Greet Her is not only a service where the greeter meets you in person, but we also connect you to them before your trip. Cause that's such a huge benefit to like when you're traveling to a place you've never been to or you have some concerns. And you also select the meetup spot. So you can say, I want my greeter to meet me at the airport. In some cities, we allow it or I want my greeter to meet me at my hotel or a landmark and at this time. So how we're very different to traditional tours is that everything at Greet Her has been completely thought out for women in mind. It's not a service that's just like generic and like cookie cutter. It's like literally every single thing that we have designed has been like addressing the concerns that we have as women and how we navigate the world because we all know is you don't have to be traveling to have to be worried about your safety. That's just the reality that we have. When you're walking at night, getting to your car, we always have our keys in our hands just in case, right? You're always looking the other way just because we have to be cautious in this world. So we knew that women wanted that personalization and we wanted to adapt to that. So through Create Her, we've been able to notice that that eases a lot of the concerns that our travelers have, right?
And I love that you get to connect with your greeter before you even land at the new destination. I think that's great because it allows you to already kind of form like that bond and even, ask some questions like, hey, I'm traveling to this destination for the first time. Like, what are some must things that I need to bring with me or pack? So you already feel like you kind of have like this built in relationship and friendship right before you even get to meet the person. So I'd feel like it kind of makes it a little bit more smoother, especially for, like you said, when somebody's traveling to a new destination. Sometimes it could be a time difference, you're jet lagged, you might not be aware of like how to get to your hotel. So just having that person there that even if they're not going to meet you in the moment, if you get lost, that you can reach out to as well.
Absolutely. And like one thing that happened to me and this like life-changing experience in Morocco was that after all of those things that had happened, I ended up going to Chefchaouen, the blue pearl of Morocco. And because I was just enough, I was like, enough of that BS, I didn't want that again.
Enough is enough.
That yeah, I was just so tired. I was like, I
Enough,
just want to
enough.
enjoy this. And so I told the hotel I was staying, I was like, please send someone to the bus stop to meet me. I was like, please. And they sent Fatima, the OG greeter. And this is where like everything kind of came together in my brain because Fatima did not speak one single word of English. She met me with the biggest smile outside of the bus stop, and she was ready to show me Shipshawan. She didn't care I had my suitcase and my backpack. She was just like so excited to show me Shipshawan. And we weren't even like communicating the same language, but we were using Google Translate and like signs and like, and we could feel each other's energy. And it was really like a friend was waiting for me to like show me her city. And that moment was just so magical. I was like, oh my God, how can I go back home and tell my friends, look, despite all the BS I had to go through in Morocco, I would love for you to experience what I did because I also met incredible people there. And I didn't want Greet Her to be something that like promotes like, oh, women should be scared. No, the opposite. I wanted this to be a tool for all people. And so our slogan is very similar to what you guys have, like the besties, the Bon Voyage besties, because our slogan is your local bestie wherever you go. Because it really does feel like having a friend welcome you, right? So if you guys were coming to San Francisco, I would take you to my favorite places. And we really put, the experience back into the local women, and they are able to adapt what they want to show you based on what you want to do. So it's really much like making them the stars and like the ambassadors of Great Her. And no experience is ever going to be the same, but that's what makes travel unique.
Love that too. And I love you. One thing we talk about in the podcast a lot is like finding those like hidden gems or like meeting with locals so they can show you a different side. Like, granted, when you travel to certain destinations, there are some landmarks that are must see. Like, you're going to go to Paris. Obviously, you want to see the Eiffel Tower, but like also too, like, I want to go and get like the best croissant. So, what better than someone who's local there that can show me like a cute little cafe off the beaten path? So, I love the concept of them showing the destination and just getting to see like a different side aside from like the regular standard tours because sometimes they could be a little bit boring too. So this feels like it's much more like intimate and personalized. That's something for me personally I love.
Yeah, and like I think that there's already so many incredible tours that you can take that give you the history and the architecture facts and everything that you should learn because it's really important when you're traveling to a new place. But we're not that. Like, we are that concept that is like maybe more of a modern concierge slash friend that you're hiring for the day. And it's really much adapted to what you're looking for. But the best part of Greet Her and like what keeps me going is that we're employing women as you navigate the world. So whenever you use Greet Her, you literally are generating income for women globally. And the majority of the money that you pay us goes to them. Like we take the lesser cut because we believe in like increasing economic opportunities for women globally. And now we
Yeah.
have upset some people, but I think this is really important for women to know that how they can do positive impact while traveling.
Yeah,
I love that.
100%, especially because I think it's women who make 80% of the travel decisions. So, what's more empowering than keeping that money in the pockets of local women and keeping it in the community and close to the ground? Like, I feel that's so important. I feel very strongly that tourism should benefit the local people, especially women, and not just take and take and take. So, it's really wonderful to hear you say that.
Yes, it is really exciting. And, when I started Greet Her, because this happened in Morocco, I expected us to be so popular in countries like, you know, Egypt and Mexico and Bogota and places where people have more concerns when you're traveling there. But it's become really interesting for us to see that travelers aren't just booking us because they feel unsafe or anything. It's more because they want to connect with local women. Literally, they want a genuine experience when they're traveling to Iceland. They want to feel like they really got to see the hidden gems of Stockholm and like, oh, Singapore has grown a lot. And that's like one of the safest cities. You can literally like walk at night and nothing will happen to you. So it's more about like the human connection with other women and like to understand what it's like to be a woman in that place. That is like the gem. And you don't really get that easily in other services, but we consider more of a movement rather than just like a service.
Yeah, and I love that because one of the things we always mention on the podcast is like sometimes like yeah, you're traveling solo doesn't necessarily mean that throughout your entire trip you want to be by yourself. Sometimes you crave those connections. So this is why a lot of people they join like walking tours or different type of tours so that way they're able to meet other people and not be by themselves. So I feel like this is a great way to kind of incorporate that into your solo travel adventure. Like yes, you can have your alone time, but if you want to, there's this person there that's available and that it's a great resource for you to hire and be able to learn a different side of the destination. But how do you vet and verify the local women guides throughout the countries that you service?
Yeah, so we have a software integrated to Greether that verifies user IDs and like even selfie authentication. But beyond that, every greeter that is on Greether and like bookable or like that's like greeting a traveler has gone through an in-person training and vetting. Even if someone just creates a profile, that doesn't mean that they will get a booking. Like they really need to go through a filter of verification in person. Obviously, this is virtual, but like they must undergo this for us to make sure that they are a good fit, that they have the requirements that we need them to have, and that they are there for the right intentions. So we do whatever we can to reduce safety risk. No company in the world can ensure you someone is 100% safe, period. But we know that us female travelers were trusting things from Facebook and Instagram without any filter whatsoever. So like sometimes people are like, "Oh yeah, but you cannot verify." I'm like, we're doing so much more than we had it before. And beyond that, we also verify travelers. So it's not just the greeters that are going through verification. Travelers also have to go through verification filters that are very similar to like ride sharing apps or home sharing apps, that are very like standard because we have to protect both sides of our marketplace. It's not just about you as a traveler we're paying, but it's also our local women who deserve to be protected too. So we take safety to heart, and like it's something that, like, of course, as we grow, we're gonna continue like increasing measurements of how we verify people. But that is something that we 100% always do. Is sometimes I see comments on TikTok when we go viral, and they're like, "Yeah, but what if a guy like signs up?" I'm like, dude, even if a guy signs up, he will absolutely never, ever, ever get a booking because we know which person is who's greeting who at what time, where, and we take these very seriously. That's the whole core of Greet Her.
Yeah, definitely. And I know it's sometimes recommended in travel spaces. Oh, like just join like a local Facebook group and ask for like advice and like meet people from there. And sorry, mom, I've done that before. I've met up with travelers from Facebook, and that has a lot less safety verification. And you don't see Facebook getting those negative comments going viral. It seems like you guys just do so much more and have that extra layer of safety already built
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, we have all done our share of silly things that maybe our moms wouldn't be the proudest of. But like the truth is, even with platforms like couch surfing,
God, cell
most
surfing. Oh God,
it's
couch
like
surfing. Thinking back to
think
2013.
I'm thankful nothing ever happened to me, like, and I know, other people who have had really shitty situations happen through that to them on couch surfing. So like we don't host people, do not sleep in each other's houses. I agree here. We don't intend to have that model ever soon, but there is a need, right? And like I think it's not just about traveling. It's an obvious need that we have even when we're dating, or like when we, you Rosa have a kid, so like when your kid is being handed over to a stranger, like you have to know who's taking care of them, right? So it's just a reality. But I wouldn't have started Greet Her if I didn't have good faith in humans. Right, I have really strong opinions of humans, even though we are living through a really chaotic and uncomfortable world right now. I think still most people have genuinely good intentions, and I think that women especially understand each other's needs.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and I
agree.
genuinely believe that as well. I mean, I've traveled, been fortunate enough to been able to travel to a couple of destinations. And like you said, there's no destination that's going to be perfect. There's not going to be safety's not
Yeah.
going to be guaranteed anywhere that you are. Even here, home in New Jersey. So it's like when you travel, you just have to make sure that, you're aware of your surroundings and you trust your instincts too. But I do believe that there's more good people out in the world that genuinely do want to help you. They do want to show you the best possible version of of their home, their destination, their country. So when you have those genuine connections, it really does allow you to embrace it and just see like another side of humanity.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, I would say like with my solo travels, like I'm not really a numbers person, but 90% of the people who I've met, probably more like 95% have been kind, gracious, fun. I have met so many wonderful friends on my solo travels. I've said this a couple times on the podcast and like groups and whatnot that I still see like even now when we meet up in different countries. So I agree with both of you. I really do think with humanity, most people are good and kind. And it's really those memories that I take with me with my travels. Like, yeah, I remember the Eiffel Tower. That's really cool. I remember Big Ben, but it's really those interactions with people that I take in my heart. So, Vanessa, can you share a powerful story from either a traveler or a guide that really captures the impact of your platform?
Oh my God, I could share hundreds. But when you were talking, Rachel, I was thinking about I have so many of like my personal experiences with Greether because I do secret shopping, you know? Sometimes I go on Greether experiences without letting them know I'm the founder. Sometimes they knew right away when they saw me because you go on Instagram, you see me everywhere. But there's been a couple times where they had no idea I was the founder. And it was been really amazing to have gone through those. But two of them come to mind. One of them was I was in Estonia, Tallinn, and I had this lovely Yumna greeter from Pakistan. She's an expat in Estonia, and she was my greeter. And we had just the best time ever. Like she showed me the main attractions, you know, where I need to go see the old town. But then she also showed me the artistic like neighborhood because I am into art. So like I told her like I want to see more like the underground scene here. And but anyways, we became such good like friends right away that the next day she invited me to come to her house. And because her and her husband were graduating from college and they were throwing a party. And so I was like, sure, why not? I'm gonna come. And so I went to their house and it was almost like they were celebrating me. I wasn't even like to graduate, but like everybody was so kind. They were like so excited to meet me. And I ate Pakistani food in Tallinn and with this incredible community that I would have never ever met before. And it was just such a beautiful story now that like I get to share, right? It's like Pakistani connection in Estonia. It's really absurd, right? But that's one of the stories. And then the other one, most recently, I had an opportunity to travel to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I was in Mostar. And usually, when I go to a new country that I don't know much about, I like to read a book about the history or like even a novel that's based on the history of that country. So as we know, Bosnia has had a really sad recent war in like history, and so I was reading a really devastating, heartbreaking book called The Cat I Didn't Name. Really recommend it. Anyways, but I met my greeter in Mostar. Her name is Vanessa, and my name is Vanessa. So like we already had things in common. And then she showed me, you know, the town and we had fun. And then, like, at the end, our time had ended. And I was like, you know what? Like, thank you so much. She's like, no, but do you want to go shopping with me? Because I have tomorrow, like, a party. And I was like, sure, I'll go shopping with you. I ended up going shopping with her like we were friends. And we started like going deeper and she started telling me about how war affected her family. And those stories, like one of her uncles had lost a leg, her dad like was affected by a bomb exploding like next to him. So all these stories I would have never ever like had the opportunity to learn from someone who like experienced this, you know. And it was just like such an eye-opening and like beautiful and heartbreaking story at the same time. But like I was just like, what a blessing to be able to have these opportunities. Could go on forever, but like one last story that I will share is from a traveler, not me, but we have a lot of senior female travelers using Greether. We have travelers in their 80s who use Greether, and they use Greether a little differently because as you age, your travel like needs are different, right? Sometimes you need a little bit more sort of a slower pace or you just want company. So we have this beautiful traveler who constantly books her greeters to take her from and to museums, wait for her outside, and then sometimes just go on dinners. Like this traveler took her greeter on a river cruise on the Seine in Paris because she just wanted to share a meal with someone on that experience. So it's been so beautiful to see that. Greether is not just about like the travel experience, it's also about human connection and solving the loneliness problem that we have in the world. And I think it's like been the biggest blessing that I've seen through Greether.
It sounds so beautiful because it sounds like these are some genuine connections and how they're just like embracing, the travelers that are coming to their destination and making them kind of feel part of like their family. So it's so beautiful to hear these stories.
Yes, thank you. It was very inspiring because I think that now that I see my travelers like traveling in their 70s and 80s, I'm like, oh my God, we still have so much time, and they're doing cool adventures. Like they're not doing like low key, just like a walk around downtown. They're like doing really cool adventures, like going to like places that I'd never even heard of. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't know about these places and the things that they request because I read the request. They're so like so unique. And I'm like, wow, I'm so inspired by like the women who I've come across.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
really
amazing.
empowering. It's so empowering. I always think back to this one time in Croatia. We were at a beachside club and there was like a woman like who had to be in her 70s like clubbing with us on like this big stage and we were all just
Yes.
like that is who I want to be when I grow up. Keep in mind I was 28 at the time. I was already grown up, but I was like that's who I want to be when I grow up. And
Yeah.
it was just very encouraging because like you said it made me feel like wow, like I have so much like time left to see the world and it just like made me feel really really good.
Yes, absolutely. And at the beginning, I did start Greether for solo travelers, but now we do groups of women traveling together. We have a lot of moms who are single moms and who like it's harder sometimes for them to navigate traveling with their kids. So like they use Greether for that, or like we see mom and daughter on trips, or sisters, or groups of friends. It really is adaptable. Like we even had like bachelorettes, who like have booked a Greeter and take them to like the cool spots to like take photos. Like you can even take advantage of them as like a content creator for you, and like have your own paparazzi. So like it's
It's
been
like your
very
Instagram
cool to see.
bestie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not? They're there for you. Might as well take a cool photo of you.
That's so true. I would love to have my own personal photographer with me because,
Just
like,
following you around.
yeah, like when you ask strangers, like I've had strangers take some great photos, but you do like kind of take a risk because you're like, I'm not sure how this photo's going to turn out. So, speaking of Instagram and TikTok and all those social media platforms, all that fun stuff, how do you balance scaling a global platform while staying true to your mission of empowerment and authenticity? Because I think being authentic is even more important in the world that we live in, especially with travel content creation.
Yeah, it's challenging just because like I don't get to do the content all the time. I don't do it that often anymore. I don't have as much time as I wish for it. And sometimes I do work on the weekends and I'm like, I'll create a content or something quick. But my team and I have been super like strong on diversity since the very beginning, and like how we wanna make sure that our image or what we put out there is a healthy image and like a healthy message because, we all remember like the stereotypical content creator that was like very popular in 2017,
Yes,
it
we
had a
do.
specific look and they're still lingering around, and I don't want to ever have people come to greet her and scroll through our feed and be like, oh, I don't fit in. Like that's absolutely nothing that we want to even spend any time on. So we've been really like focused on like making sure that whatever wording and messaging and like images that we use are showing the diversity that makes womanhood and like female travelers. Like as I said, we have women from all types of ages, backgrounds, colors, everything, sizes, and like I think that that is how I stay as true as I can as we expand. Like that is something that is still really really important to me and to us as a brand. We may make mistakes sometimes, but like who doesn't? So we're learning a lot. We have received messages and we're like, is this for me? Is this just only for young women? And we're like, no, like you're welcome. So we want to make sure that they feel represented. And it's been really exciting to see that people understand it, like when they see our brand, and like, you know, it's still storytelling is the most vital part of what we do. So we tried as much as we can to highlight stories and how people feel, like making their besties around the world.
I love the idea of making sure that you're showing the inclusivity because I know for myself, my situation is a little bit different. I had my daughter when I was younger, so I wasn't able to travel or do any of solo travel when I was like in my 20s because I was being a mom. And now my daughter's away; she's in college, so I didn't start doing like
I
solo. Yeah. um, so I didn't
didn't
start doing
expect
solo.
that, by the way.
Yeah, my kids grown. My kids
Girl,
grown. Yes,
that's kind of
yes.
cool though. Like
I
you
know.
already did it.
Exactly. So I'm kind of past that stage a little bit. So I do have a little
Awesome.
bit more freedom. However, I didn't start doing like solo travel till I was like maybe like in my mid 30s. And I felt like I was too old. Like I was still young, but I felt old because social media just had this like conception that everyone that's out there solo traveling, they're like in their 20s, young 20s, and they're like
Yeah.
single. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm have a partner, I have a daughter, I have
Yeah.
responsibilities, and I kind of felt like I was a little too old. So I love that now I do feel like brands are noticing that and different companies are also noticing that and making sure they are inclusive because age and when it comes to travel, there's no magic number,
There's
right?
no limit.
Exactly. Now I can
No.
freely travel. When I was in my 20s, I couldn't do it. So now I take advantage of it and I love it. But when I first started, it was a little intimidating because I honestly felt like I was too old.
Yeah, and like you go and you see hostels that only accept up to 35-year-olds.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, I'm way
literally
past that.
offended. I was literally offended recently. I was like, what is this? And I do think though, Rosa, that as you age, your traveling styles change too.
Sure.
So for example, I say that now often, like I have graduated from hostel life. Like
Same,
I don't
girl, same.
I need my beauty sleep.
I can't do the
I
snoring.
I can't do snoring or people just like being on the phone early or late and like I
The
love a
plastic
good
bags in the morning with, like, the
yeah.
crinkling as they're packing, I'm like, "No."
No, I just can't. And like I need a clean bathroom for myself. So yeah, anyways, yeah, you end up being more picky as you as you grow. But like it's also like you know what you want in life and what you don't. And I still love hostels because you are able to meet so many people, and like you make connections. But now I stay in my single room if I ever stay at a hostel. So yes, Rosa, I think like there is no age, to traveling solo. And like I think even though I'm now happily married, and when I met my husband when we started dating, I told him, just so you know, you met me as a solo traveler. I'm gonna still continue solo traveling. And I think it took him like 5 minutes to like think about it. He's like, "Well, why wouldn't you just want to travel with me?" And I was like, "No, because that's part of my identity and it's really important." And he understood that. And that now married, I still travel solo every now and then. And it's so important, I think, especially even for relationships. It's such a like great gift to give to yourself and your partner to have that distance and like, kind of like un- have a break and like inspiration and creativity and you miss them too. And like then you come home and you have stories to share. I think it's so important for women to experience solo traveling. And I'm so excited to see that more women are doing it because like my mom's generation never even imagine doing that. Like, I remember my mom saying like, "Oh, I should go." I was like, "Yeah, you should have gone for a few days."
Yeah.
Because you need a break. And like, I think that is such an essential thing for women to understand that we are capable of giving each other, like ourselves, joy and creating spaces of happiness without needing people around you. Anyways, that's my bit about solo traveling.
No, I definitely agree with that. It's funny because a couple of years ago, I was supposed to go to Florida with my friend. Then last minute, she had a personal emergency. She couldn't make it. And I almost canceled my trip. But I was like, you know what? Everything's already paid for. Everything's like, solidified. Let me just go. And I remember FaceTiming like my husband and daughter back home. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just like here, sitting in the room, watching the Hallmark channel, eating a burrito. And he's like, you could have just stayed home for that. I'm like, yeah, but I have the view of the ocean when I open like the shades. I was like, also, I don't have to talk to anyone. Like, I love you guys, but sometimes like I need to be by myself and like have like my alone time. So we always joke around because they're like, yeah, remember the time you left just so you can sit on the couch and eat a burrito? And I'm like, yeah, you need
That is
that at least once
hilarious.
a year. You know, you need that peace.
Absolutely. And like, girl, if you want to like take 2 hours doing your hair on your solo trip, you do it. You have to think of other people, like, to
Exactly.
do things with. And I think it's such a like great moment of connection to yourself. I recently experienced my first silent meditation retreat last year, and everybody I told that I wasn't gonna speak for 3.5 days, they were like, "Oh my god, that sounds
What? Oh
horrible."
my
You see
god!
that everybody
I don't
had
think I
Rachel's
don't think
Wow!
reaction.
Rachel. I don't know, Rachel. You think you can do it?
Probably not. I mean, probably not.
It was awesome. Rachel, I cannot recommend it enough, especially if you're like tired or burnt out and you need like like a break. And it's funny because so obviously like I looked at the numbers of Greether and like I have to track things, right? So I was like, I'm gonna pick the week that last year was the slowest.
Yeah.
I picked that week. We went viral a day before my trip was happening.
No.
It was it was by far one of the busiest weekends we've ever had at Greet Her, and I had to literally let go. And I was like, here, there's a lesson I have to learn here right now, because
Yeah.
obviously I have to like trust my team. And there's no cell phone service. You're not allowed, like, there's not even cell phone service, even if you turn your phone on. So it was a complete detox, and like it was so powerful. I loved every second of it. And I was just like, sometimes your soul needs a break. And like I'm always talking and I'm always in cameras and always like delegating. So sometimes when you're leading so much, you really need to pause. And like I really recommend it. We don't have silent retreats at Creator, but maybe one day. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we might have to sign up
Yeah.
for that. I can
I
use that at least
would.
once a year.
I would sign up in a
Exactly.
heartbeat.
Just
Yeah.
like, disconnect from people. But that's like one of the things that we talk about on the podcast a lot. It's just that, like with solo travel, it's great because you're on your own time, right? You do the things that you want to do. And if you just want to sit on the couch eating a burrito like I did, you can do that too because nobody's going to be there to judge you or shame you. So we always empower women to get out there and, take that solo trip at least once. And if you're scared or this is your first time, start something small so that way you can just kind of dip your toes in because you're going to love it. But Vanessa, what would you say are some other tips for women who might feel intimidating about traveling solo, and what practical steps can they take that first journey?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you already shared a few. Like start slow, or like you don't have to go international. You can even do like a small road trip, like even to a town nearby, like a couple hours away, and like do staycation. You don't have to go like crazy, just like, hey, I'm gonna do a Nepal trekking for 15 days, right away. Like dip your toes. But also, just practical advice that I always give my travelers is like try to arrive if you're flying, and especially to a country you've never been to, try to arrive during daylight, where there's still like a lot of hours left of daylight if possible. I know that's not always possible, but if you can always have arranged transportation from the airport to your accommodations the day you arrive, I think that just eases up so much stress. I also like to recommend, if you can, ask your hotel to give you a room that's not on the first level. I don't want to get into details, but there's a lot of safety reasons for that. I have stayed at hotels where I was staying solo, and I asked my concierge to call me if I didn't show up back by a certain time. And they have literally done it. So, like, it depends on the hotel you're staying. Like, that's something you can also do. Obviously, always make sure that people back home know some part of your itinerary where you're supposed to be, like at least roughly, because I know a lot of us are like wild spirits and we're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do it by day 3, and that's fine. But like update people back home and book a greeter. It's my shameless plug there.
Yeah, I like the idea of like letting someone at home know because I always do that, even though I'm like, oh, I'm like this tough adventurer. I've traveled around Europe solo and Japan solo, and I'm scared of flying, and I still do it. I still share my itinerary with my mom and brother every single time, just so they have like an idea of where I am because it also makes them feel comfortable too. And just like having that additional layer of safety really does help a lot. And then, yeah, I think next time I'm going to book a greeter because just listening to you two talk, I'm like, I have not taken a solo trip in a while. And I feel like my soul is begging me for a solo trip now because it's been a while. I used to go like multiple times a year, and it's been, I think, over a year since I traveled solo.
You're due. You're
I'm
You're
due.
overdue.
overdue.
I'm due.
Yeah. What's some place that you feel like you want to go to next?
Oh, geez. So I have always wanted to go to New Zealand because I think if I did
Ah,
that flight, it would be amazing since I'm scared to fly. So I always feel like if I conquer the flight to New Zealand, that's like a big stepping stone for me. And I do want to pretend to be a hobbit. And I feel like that's something I have to do solo because I don't know if my friends would want to pretend to be hobbits with me.
that's so cute. I love that.
I'll be there and take pictures of you.
I think you're the only person who I feel comfortable inviting. Be like, Rosa, watch me pretend to be a hobbit.
That is so cute.
Oh my gosh. But looking ahead, Vanessa, how do you see women shaping the future of the travel industry over the next 5 or even 10 years?
I'm very lucky now to know a good amount of female founders in the travel industry. Like some of them are really close to me and some of them not as close, but I have had the privilege of knowing of them or like getting to know what they're doing. And I'm really excited because I think we are entering an era in which, a lot of the needs that were often overlooked are being addressed and there were this is going to be really impactful for the next generation of travelers. Rosa, for your daughter, she's going to have it. I mean, we already have so much easier, like the generations like in front of us, like they didn't have GPS and like WhatsApp and like Greether.
I know. I tell her you don't know what it's like to have to use a physical map, or like when we used to use MapQuest and like you take the wrong
MapQuest.
And
like
print it.
like now we got to start all over because you took the wrong turn and I don't know what to do next.
So and like we used to read the books too. Like I remember my first trip to Thailand, I read like 3 books about Thailand, like Lonely Planets and like how to be a good Thai tourist. Like I remember like we don't do it anymore because like now you can ask ChatGPT really quickly, like, hey,
Yeah.
what does this
What do I
mean?
do?
So I think I'm really excited and like we're not a minority. This is like one of the like if not the fastest growing segment in tourism and big travel companies are acknowledging it and they're like paying attention. So it's gonna be really exciting, hopefully, if the world doesn't end.
Fingers crossed. Rachel has to go become a hobbit, so
Need to become a hobbit first.
let's just hope for world peace, please.
Yeah. I mean we have people going to space for fun now, so there you go.
Yeah.
So, Rosa, do you want to do some rapid fire questions with Vanessa?
Let's do it. Vanessa, are you ready?
All right. Made as ready as I can be, I guess.
All right. So
Drum
we'll start
roll.
off with a tough one. What's one country that completely surprised you?
In a good way or in a bad way?
We'll go with good. Throw some positive energy.
Oh my God, so many I couldn't ever pick, but I think I had so much fun recently in Korea, in South Korea. It was so fun. Like I went for my birthday, and the food was just incredible and it's just so easy to navigate. I went to the Korean spas that I'm obsessed about. And it was just like such a like energetic, like, culture too. And I really loved it. I not that I didn't expect that, but like it was just really refreshing because like comparing to Japan, like I expected to have more similarities, but it had a different feeling and it was really cool.
That's awesome. So, Vanessa, not this year, but the following year when I turn 40, a friend and I are planning a trip to South Korea for my birthday
Yes.
because Newark started direct flights to Seoul and I'm just obsessed with skincare. So she was like, I got to take you to
Mm.
South Korea. And I was like, say no more. So we're already in the planning process for that. So I am so excited.
Oh my God. Yeah, let me know. I have that spot I went to that I can't remember the name. So I'm not gonna give them free advertising right now, but I'll send it over.
You're the best. Thank you. So I think I know the answer to this one, but a solo trip or girls trip?
Ooh. Actually, I don't know. It depends on my mood. I love going on trips with my girlfriends. It's so fun.
Same.
Like it's so memorable. So if I could bring my friends in every trip I do, like I would, to be honest. But
I would too.
yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say girls trip because like even if I travel solo, then if I have a greeter, it's kind of like a girls trip.
It's so
It's always
true.
a fun time. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Definitely love a nice girls
Yeah.
trip.
We've done some great local girls trips, Rosa and I, and they're just like they rejuvenate my soul. Like it really does.
100%.
It's a nice reset.
Exactly.
It's like
We're
free
overdue.
therapy.
Exactly. Yes, it's so true. It's like those memes you see on social media. It's like you don't need a therapist, you just need a best friend and cocktails.
Pretty much. And
100%.
pretty much. And skincare.
There you go. Sounds like the ideal combination. All right, what's your go-to travel essential that you cannot leave home without?
That's changed actually recently. It used to always be a scarf or a shawl. And like that was like my number one souvenir I will always buy. But now like my drawers can't take it anymore. But like I like doing that because, when I wear it at home, like I remember the place and like it was just, and it's so useful like to for a towel or a pillow or like headscarf, anything, right? But now I cannot travel without an eye mask. I need an eye mask to sleep because I think I'm just constantly tired in truth. But yeah, eye mask and scarf. If you can buy it abroad, good.
I love that. For me, it would have to be my charger because if my
Oh,
phone
yeah.
dies, like
I'm
I'm
helpless.
not gonna survive this trip.
I
Yeah,
know
that's
what
a
that's
given, Rosa.
like. So you are traveling tomorrow. You get a free flight and you could pick anywhere in the world to go. Where are you headed?
Nepal. No questions asked. I've had this trip on my list for many years, and like I was supposed to go in 2020. I had everything like organized, and then you guys know what happened in 2020.
Yes.
But I have been postponing it since ever since I built Greether. Like now I travel more for work, and I haven't gotten the chance to, because to go to Nepal you have to take at least 15 days, like to do a trek there. So it's hard for me to take that much time off from work right now. So hopefully I'm gonna make it happen soon. I'll keep you guys updated.
I believe in you.
Sounds
I'm
fun.
putting that out in the universe that you will make it
Thank you.
there.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So, Vanessa, before we wrap up, do you have any last pieces of advice that you would like to give our listeners?
I think that sometimes the world can feel a little scary, but honestly, once you do your first solo trip, like everything just like you're like, oh my God, what was I afraid of? And a lot of people are scared of feeling alone or lonely, but I think there's so many things that you can do to avoid that. And not just with Greether, but you can join meetups or like you can stay at a hostel and like join the community dinners at night and like really just kind of build community. And then lastly, if anybody ever wants to reach out and like find out like how I've done the things that we have been able to do, it's all a lot of learning. And like I would love to share, my good things I've done and the mistakes I've done and how to avoid. So I'm always supporting entrepreneurs, especially women, as much as I can. So you just don't hesitate to come and knock my door or my email if you need some advice. And lastly, if you want to join as a greeter in a Greether platform. So by the way, it's Greether at the company, and then our greeters, we call them greeters. I know there's a confusion there, and however people want to pronounce it, it's fine. But I just made a mistake myself, so it happens. If you are interested in becoming a greeter, we accept applicants in cities where there is high interest of tourism, right? So like if you live in the New Yorks of the world, the Parises of the world, like please apply because that's where we're seeing the most traffic in. That said, if you're in a city that's not like the biggest touristic destination, you can still apply. And then if we ever have a request, we can reach out to you and let you know, hey, there's a traveler coming to your area. Would you like to be a creator for her? So don't discourage you from that.
It's really
That's
cool.
amazing. Thank you so much again, Vanessa. And also, congratulations. I know you just became a finalist for the Travel Startup of the Year for the wonderful Bessie Award. So,
Thank
good
you.
luck to you.
Good
Very
luck.
well
Thanks.
deserved.
That's
So,
amazing.
yes.
Good energy your way.
There you go.
But I'm already honored just to be like named amongst the other entrepreneurs and like really excited to get to know them. And I think Wonderful and Beth have done an incredible job of building this community of women travel creators, and just really excited to be part of it.
Yes, we love Wonderful. That's how Rachel and I met. So, we love
Aw.
online dating.
You know what? Dating your friends is popular right now. And
It
like I
is.
have a
It is.
few new friends that like we're kind of like dating each other because we're like getting to know each other. And like when you're an adult, like and you meet a new potential friend, you have to kind of like ease your way into their life and vice versa. You cannot just
Yeah.
like dump your whole life story into them.
Trauma dump on them.
Yeah. So yeah, girlfriend dating is cute.
But thank you so
1000%.
much again.
Thank
Yeah.
you, ladies, for having me. I
Of
want to join you
course.
guys next time again.
Yes,
Yes, that would
definitely.
be so much fun. So, listeners, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Bon Voyage Besties. Today's conversation with Vanessa, founder of Greether, reminds us that travel doesn't have to feel intimidating at all. It can be empowering, transformative, and deeply connected to the community. Through her work connecting female travelers with verified local women guides in more than 100 countries, Vanessa is helping redefine what safe and supported travel looks like for women around the world. From prioritizing safety to creating real economic opportunities for women in tourism, this episode truly highlighted how women are reshaping the future of travel in powerful ways. So if this conversation inspired you, please, please, please leave a review. Check us out at Bon Voyage Besties on social media. Check out Greet Her on social media. And if you live in a New York or Paris and want to do something fun, apply to be a greeter. It sounds like a really great gig. You get to make a bunch of friends, and it seems really, really awesome. So until next time, stay curious, stay confident, and keep booking those flights. I know I will. I'm due for a solo trip, so you should go book a flight too. So we'll see you in the next ones.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.